my name is Tegan and welcome to my channel. I'm beating every Amnesia game. In my last video, I reviewed the first entry in the series, The Dark Descent. Overall, I really enjoyed this game and it made it onto my list of one of my favorite survival horror games. In this video, I will be reviewing the expansion, Amnesia Justine. Amnesia Justine was first released for PC on April 12, 2011. It was initially only released as an expansion for the Steam version of The Dark Descent, but was later included as an update for all other versions of the game. Amnesia Justine was later released on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. It was developed and published by Swedish studio Frictional Games. The game is set in 1858, where you awaken in a dungeon cell with no memory of how you got there. A phonograph in the cell contains a mysterious recording by a woman named Justine. Justine has imprisoned her 3 suitors and set up phonographs in multiple locations throughout the game to help guide the player through a psychological test she calls the Cabinet of Perturbation. In the recording, she explains that throughout the test, choices will be made to kill or save innocent people in order to advance in the game. The player must collect an empty lantern hanging from the ceiling that you can only reach after playing the first phonograph. Taking the lantern will trigger the cell door to open. This game, unlike The Dark Descent, had very little to do with collecting oil in tinderboxes. I was very surprised by this because it was a huge element in the first game. The first room you will enter is a prison block with multiple cells. 3 of these cells used to contain Justine's suitors, but they now stand empty. The only remaining person locked in a cell is Dr. Victor Fournier. He is bound to a table, and the player must make the decision to either kill him or let him live. If the player pulls the lever next to the cell that Dr. Fournier occupies, a spike will lower down and pierce his torso, killing him. This will trigger a ladder to lower from the ceiling, letting the player advance through Justine's tests. If you choose to let Fournier live, you will have to stack boxes and attach a missing piece of broken ladder to advance to the next area. If the cell closest to the entrance is entered, Aloy will appear as the first suitor. Fortunately for the player, you can hide until he goes away. He is the only suitor who will leave the area after a few moments. After exiting the prison block by a tunnel in the ceiling, the player will drop down into a hallway with 3 locations of interest. One of the locations contains a phonograph with a recording revealing what Justine has done to her suitor, Basile. The recording is between Justine and Basile. Basile wakes up held hostage and is confused after passing out from drinking wine. He asks Justine what has happened and she admits to adding absinthe to his drink. Basile is noticeably irritated and says that he isn't in the mood to play Justine's games. He demands that she set him free. Justine agrees to grant him his freedom on one condition. He must tell her how beautiful she is. He tells her that she is plenty beautiful, but apparently this is not the answer that Justine is looking for. She expects to be told that her beauty is blinding, a compliment used to describe her late mother. Unsatisfied with his answer and in a rage, Justine blinds him. This angers Basile, and he vows to kill her out of revenge. This also includes a hint as to why the other 2 suitors may be blind. The second location of interest leads to a room with a fireplace. There are disturbing images hanging on the wall and a table that appears to be used for torture. This room contains another phonograph with a recording of how Dr. Fournier knows Justine's father. There is also a hot poker in the fireplace, which could have been used to blind Justine's suitors. The third and final way is the library with the next test for the player. The library is a long hallway with 2 doors on each side and a room at the end. The room at the end contains a lightbox projector. The 4 rooms in the hallway contain slides on bookcases and tables, which can be used in the projector once it is lit by a tinderbox. One of these rooms holds the next person the player may choose to save or kill. His name is Father David, and he can be heard screaming on the other side of a wall. The wall he is behind has a lever and 2 slots where the slides may be inserted. The lever must be pulled to access the next part of the game. If the lever is pulled with no slides inserted or with the wrong slides inserted, Father David can be heard being brutally ripped apart. If the lever is pulled with slide number 4 on the top and slide number 3 on the bottom, David will be released unharmed and he can be heard thanking the player. In the room with the light box, one of the shelves on the bookcase contains a hidden letter. If the letter is collected, it will unlock a secret ending. After saving Father Daniel, the player will enter a cellar where the lights blow out and the door locks behind them. This is where the second suitor, Basile, will show up. He does not despawn, and the player must find a way around him. Crouching is very helpful as Basile is blind, and crouching enables the player to be almost completely silent. Objects can be thrown to confuse or slow Basile. After getting past Basile, you will come to an area with knee-level water. This is where the last Fate Choice character can be found, Inspector Moreau. The third and last suitor, Malo Divini, appears here as well. The small room that Inspector Moreau is trapped in can be shut. If you do not shut the room, Justine's suitor, Malo, will appear and attack and kill Inspector Moreau. This will give the player time to escape. If you close the door to this room, it will save Inspector Moreau's life, as Justine's suitor, Malo, will focus only on the player. Avoiding Malo can be difficult despite the fact that he is blind, because you will make a lot of noise moving around in the water. This section of the game was brutal. If the player escapes Malo, it will bring them to a crypt. Advancing in the crypt will lead the player to a series of connected hallways with creepy messages written on the walls. These messages will drain your sanity. After this, the player will enter a large room where they will hear the recording of Justine's voice for one final time. At this point, the story starts to come together, and it is revealed that you have been playing as Justine all along. The recording says that since Justine has gone through these tests on her own, she can now face eternity without any fear or doubt. The walls begin closing in, and now it becomes impossible to escape the room. Justine will panic and pass out. Upon waking, she realizes that the walls have stopped closing in and they have begun to retract back.
This was the best one yet. So elaborate. It's just too much. Enough of this. Get up.
Justine says that the door is locked behind her so that none of her test subjects can escape, and she proceeds up the stairs to speak to her maid Clarice. Depending on who you save throughout the game, you can get different voices coming to you from behind the locked door. Alois saying he wishes you to stay, Basile saying he will find you, or Malo expressing he wishes to eat you. If you don't get the hidden letter in the room with the lightbox projector, Justine will talk to Clarice about supper. If you get the secret letter, they will have a different dialogue at the end. Justine will tell Clarice to send the letter even though it is years late. She will tell her they should know I'm still alive. Instead of a much more direct survival horror experience like the previous game, Amnesia Justine takes things in a completely different direction, placing you in jigsaw-like trials where you must not only escape with your own life, but you have direct influence over the fate of others. Killing them is easy, and it's more to your advantage to do so, as it usually lets you bypass the trial entirely. However, saving them requires you to be more creative. Something to note, there is permadeath if you fail at any of the trials, so tread carefully unless you want to end up right back at the beginning in the cell. I absolutely love the story of the game, but there were some elements that confused me from a design standpoint. First, you're given a lantern that you don't use at all throughout the game. You are also given a health item when the only damage you can take is from monsters that will one-shot you. All in all, this was a great expansion, and I love the story of the sadistic Justine and her doomed suitors. I only wish that this was a full-length game and not just an expansion. I might actually have to rate this above The Dark Descent at a 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video, a review of Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs.